Okay, so I wanted to talk for 10 minutes or so about Tian Shang, since we are actually about to release something. I'm very excited about it. We last month, about mid-December of 2017, went ahead and sent off my unified document manuscript to David, and he sent it off to his editor, so his editor is threshing it over. And then David went to spend the holidays with Victor, who is the layout guy, and they're talking about like what they're going to do with it there. And so yeah, it's all very exciting. We've come a long way with it. We're finally going to release something. I want to talk about that something a little bit. When we first started the project, as you may know if you've kept up with any of these videos I've scattered around, it was going to be one big document. It was going to be a 4-act intro adventure with all kinds of nifty moving parts. And it was going to kind of serve as a training wheels into the system, as well as pretty much an entire rules document. And I was like, okay, so it was a big project. I don't think we realized exactly how big that was going to be. It actually got pretty unwieldy. And then we started like looking into the cost of the different things we had to do with it, like art wound up being kind of expensive. I think ultimately we got a really good deal on it. But still, this is stuff coming out of our pockets, and we wanted to stick to it being something that we were releasing as pay what you want, because I'm fine with you tipping me for my work. I don't feel like it's going to sell much as a product. I think that the thing that I am charging most people for trying a brand new game and a brand new system in the year 2018 is mostly just their time and their patience and their mental energy. And that is enough in a lot of cases to prevent me as a consumer from getting into a role-playing game. Because a lot of them, like for years, I cycled through systems trying to find one that was kind of my magical bullet. I finally found one, and I realized that the thing that allowed me to see it was that I basically got to check out the whole game for free, and I put my stone down on. I'm like, I'm going to invest in this, my time, my effort, etc. And it wound up being something that I could trust. It's a system that consistently gives me what I want. And I think maybe all of us eventually settle on a game like this as GMs who decide to make this our major hobby in life. We'll find that system where we're like, okay, that's my system. Some people online, it's Fate. Some people, it's different versions of Dungeons and Dragons. World of Darkness gets bandied about a lot. Just sort of depends. I think I could maybe light myself a little better if I turn that off. Oh, that's way better. It's nowhere near as glary and pasty. I've been inside for like the last 3 months, so I went from fish belly pale to like blind cave shrimp pale. So like any kind of light on me is almost like a mirror. It's really annoying and distracting. Sorry about that. So I've only got about 7 minutes left that I want to bend your ear about this. I'll try to keep it brief. The point I was angling for there was that the product, when I was first writing it, was going to be, here's the intro 30-ish pages, and then there was going to be more after that. So we've chopped off an already kind of truncated product, because we realized at some point that was too big. So I was like, okay, I'll do Act 1 and 2. We'll release those, and then we'll release Act 3 and 4. And it'll be like early to mid-game, and then later mid-game to late game. And then we might develop more after that. We decided to break it up even further so that each act got its own release, which does make more sense, but it means that this first little thing I'm taking out... ooh, my noodles are done. Just a second. There you go, noodles. Get into that colander. Yeah, I timed this super well, as you guys can probably tell. Oh yeah, that's going to be some good spaghetti. The reason I have any time away from the kids is that they are both watching FGTV, so if the FGTV guys ever wander onto this channel, thank you. You buy me literally every second of free time I have as a young parent, so merci beaucoup, mon amis. So, the reason I want to bring that to your attention is that there's a lot of stuff in this little intro adventure thing. It's an intro adventure, it's a couple of pre-gen characters, this is what you'd expect from it, and it's a really deep system overview. It's like pretty much the rules text for the entire system, with a few notable exceptions that are in different stages of development, or there wasn't quite enough room to cram them into our word count. So there's a lot in there. There's a surprising amount in there. But the actual intro adventure is really brief, and the reason it's really brief is because it was supposed to immediately segue into the stuff for Act 2. And the Act 2 stuff is a lot less linear. A lot of adventures nowadays a lot of adventure modules are written with this idea that there is a line of scenes, maybe occasionally there'll be a branch off, that you go through in a basically linear fashion. You go to the castle, the king gives you a quest, you go to the place where the quest is, you fight the bad guy, you come back, you get the reward. Kind of a little skeleton like that. I have some... I as a player and GM and game designer, have a lot of umbrage with presupposing the outcome of something. I think it's fine to have a goal as a player and as a GM, but I don't think it's okay to say, oh, this is how the campaign will end someday. Nah, you don't get to make that call. What's the point of playing otherwise? You might as well just write that down, move on to the next project. So the thing that was meant to segue into initially was a hex crawl. I made one hex that was surrounded by hexes that was further surrounded by hexes. So it was 3 little tiers, and that was just kind of the hex map of the planet. And that's a sort of archaic way of keying content, but that's really what it was. It was just, here are some cool things. They're little vignettes and little mini adventures and things like that. And you engage with them as you travel and do your journey through the planet. And eventually to get off the planet, because you had to learn about the planet and like its history a little bit while you were there, and then to get off the planet to actually go onto your quest as players, because again, they're pre-gen, so we could kind of give you the quest. I don't feel terrible about that. You had to face one of 2 mini-bosses. And that was the thing. And it was a lot of content, actually. I spent a couple of months. The last video, actually, was right off the tail of having finished that. And it was months. I spent like 3 months. I blew through my deadline in writing it. And I was like, I finally got it done. And I was really proud of it. Like, I'm really happy with how it looks and how it reads. But when I gave that to our star playtester, which is Michael, you've all probably got the link to his video where he's doing the Tian Shang playtest. There's a reason he's the star playtest GM. Like, he really brings it. He's got a lot of experience, and he's very theatrical, and he's got a really good style, and he has really good players who are really entertaining on camera. So that's all some really great stuff. And when I showed him the document, he was really blunt. He's like, I don't do hex crawls. Period. Dot. I'm not going to do that. And at first I was like, you don't... What? What do you mean you don't do hex crawls? Just run the game. You're playtesting. So I kind of had a chip on my shoulder about it. But then I calmed down a little bit and I thought about it. And I do think that the hex crawl style of keying content isn't extremely clear about what it's trying to accomplish. In a very literal sense, it's not something that you show the players. Like, I think that a lot of people have this idea in their head where, like, a GM will roll a map of hexes out on the table and take out some bobby pins and things and be like, okay, you're here and in here, and this is X miles away as a sparrow flies. And that's really not what it is. The hex map in our thing, and this is clear in the text, is that you are supposed to... It's a GM-only thing. The players interact through description, just like with everything else. There's no dungeon maps and no hex maps in our system. There's no real need of them, because we use a version of the zones from Fate and from Legends of the Wulin. So it's all descriptive, just like you do anything else. You don't really need to know the specific XYZ coordinate of every 3-dimensional object. It's sort of below the fidelity of the rules. So I looked at it and I realized when I got that feedback from him that that's probably a pretty common misconception about what hex maps are and what they're for and how you use them. I have like some description of hex rolling in there. It's really... It didn't work. So what I'm doing now, and unfortunately I'm kind of slammed with classes and what have you at the moment, what I'm doing now is I am unhexing it, and I'm just making these kind of different oblong shapes and making kind of a map out of those. So that's what you're going to be using instead of hexes, and it's going to work exactly the same way. It's just not going to be made of hexes. It's going to kind of obfuscate that sort of old school vibe, so it looks a little more modern. I think that'll make it a little more appealing to a modern audience. Unfortunately, that does mean that the bulk of the content that was supposed to be playable content is not going to be available until I get Act 2 done. And like I said, I'm kind of slammed between classes and writing this and raising my kids and blah blah. Got a lot of stuff going on, so my time is pretty limited to work on it. Unfortunately, I'm the head writer and designer, so basically it's all up to me to get that done and in a good form before I send it out to you guys. Speaking of busting through time limits, I busted through mine. I'm going to make this go to 12, I guess, and then I'll go ahead and turn it off. I don't want to waste too much of your time. So, if you get the module, give it a gander, see if you like the system. There's a lot of good stuff in there. There's a really good little, like, it's not just a fight scene. It's like, go up the mountain, have a fight scene, interact with the other character, have another fight scene. And if you want to continue with the campaign, Act 2 will be out here fairly directly. I want to say first quarter, because I've got 2 sets of loans coming in that I can use to, you know, pay someone for layout or something like that. And I should be able to scrape the time together to get it done in that time. This is all non-professional work, so unfortunately, this is all sort of up in the air. And to some degree, like, the more we make, the more popular the initial, like, download is, the more, like, wiggle room we'll have, and the more we can streamline the process, the more I can justify spending my time on doing it. So, you know, just throw us some money. If you're so inclined, we'll take it, but it's a good use, I promise. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that, like, it's really a very small taste with the initial module, but there's enough there that you could reasonably do stuff with it. When you see Act 2, you'll actually have enough to kind of run an adventure. So wait for it. There's gonna be more coming, and then there's 2 acts after that. I'm gonna have more cool stuff then. I will make another different video for that. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. Hope to see this module soon, and when we do, it's gonna be radical. Yeah, look how excited I am with my thumb there. Yeah.